Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are going over my top 5 dumb and fun ships. Recently, Wargaming's been giving us more of the modes that we know and love, like asymmetric battles, the unbreakable line, and the new perilous route. These modes are usually a great place to have some nice chaotic fun, and I figured since, well, we've got two of those modes available to us right now, I'd figure we'd go over a couple of ships that are fun not only in these modes, but they are pretty good blast and random battles as well. So let's go ahead and get on into it. But first though, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you fix that by clicking that subscribe button. Just a little under half of you are not subscribed to the channel, despite returning every single day for these daily World Warships videos. We do ship reviews here, I go over deals and such in the armory. So if you just want to be informed about what's going on in the game, make sure you click that subscribe button. And while you're down there, might as well click that like button, leave a comment as well, and that will fully appease the algorithm overlords of the YouTube. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get on into it. Coming in at number 5, we have the Tier 10 Techline British battle cruiser, the St. Vincent. So the St. Vincent is a ship that it's kind of wild that the St. Vincent managed to get in its current state, or really any state, into the game. This is a battle cruiser armed with 9 457mm guns that, well, are attached to a hull that is very much a battle cruiser hull. It's fast, it's maneuverable, you get the speed boost and all that jazz, and you also get the hull-mounted torpedoes. So not only do you have a battle cruiser that has 457mm 18-inch guns, you also have a battle cruiser that has these nuclear torpedoes. The St. Vinny torpedoes do have an alpha in the 30,000 range, which is insane. So if you get hit with a single one of these torpedoes, and you're in not a small amount of the cruisers and destroyers that this ship can see, you're going to get one-shotted, if not lose most of your health, which is just goofy, again, having that level of damage output attached to a battle cruiser hull. Now, on top of just the incredible maneuverability of the St. Vincent, she also has the super hill to make up for the fact that she does have, you know, the battle cruiser type armor, where you have the thinner than average armor at that tier, meaning that, like, the St. Vincent doesn't have the 32mm bow and stern, so she can get overmatched by, well, quite a few battleships at tier, well, really from, like, what, tier 8 on up. So you get a bit of a super heal to make up for that. It's not quite as good as, like, the Conqueror super heal, but you can still brute force your way through more than a few thousand bits of damage with that super heal. So you put all that together and you've got a really agile, good damage outputting ship with the ability to take, you know, a fair bit of damage for being a battle cruiser. But what really makes her goofy is that her traits allow you to build into her a little bit more boldly, shall we say. You can do the Furious build, which is what I have on right now, which is when you take the Furious skill that gives you a buff to your reload time when your ship is on fire. It also extends the duration of the fire, but decreases the damage that your ship takes from the fire. You take that and all the other ridiculous skills that you normally wouldn't dream of taking on a battleship that buffs your, you know, reload time or your damage output, because it will, again, you know, usually you trade off some type of survivability in order to boost your damage. You take it all anyway on the St. Vincent because it simply doesn't care about things like fire damage, because it's got that improved heal where you regenerate a large chunk of HP, and 100% of fire and flooding damage is recoverable regardless of whatever type of heal you have. So when you have a heal that heals back more, then you don't really care too much. So with that, you get a ridiculously low reload time on the St. Vincent on top of Adrenaline Rush as well. So you got these 9 18-inch guns absolutely smoking hot with the reload, shoving out these 18-inch shells, in some cases when you got enough instances of fire and flooding on you in like 19 seconds, which is just dumb. And then you've got the 30k alpha torpedoes also reloading really friggin' fast. So you get to a point where the ship is just being burnt down to the keel, but you've got like a cruiser reload on it, which is just so stupid with these guns, right? So obviously when you have a ship like that, you take into something like the Unbreakable line or asymmetric, where who cares if you do die? It's asymmetric or it's the Unbreakable line. Nobody cares about that. And you can play a little bit more W key, then you're going to have a fantastically fun time with the St. Vincent in those modes. And it is a tech line ship, so it's free with a little bit of grind. She's also fantastic in random battles, by the way. You can put a more normal build on it. You can run the Furious build if you really want to as well. And she'll do great in random battles with that build. If you know what you're doing, obviously. I'm not saying you can do it like every single round, but if you know what you're doing, great ship. Great ship for like tier 10 ranked as well, with a more standard build on her. And even for some elements of competitive like clan battles and such. So she's a really good ship, one you should pick up, and an absolute blast to play in the right circumstances. Alright, going our way down now to number 4, we have the tier 10 American destroyer, the Hull. Yeah, this thing has Des Moines guns. What more needs to be said? It's a destroyer with heavy cruiser guns. I mean, who would have thought of putting 203mm 8-inch guns on a destroyer? The U.S. Navy did. Believe it or not, this thing actually existed. Not in this exact same configuration. They placed one turret on the real-life USS Hull, and apparently it works just fine. They just gave up on the project, so there's that. This is a what if they went ahead and converted all 3 turrets to these 203mm turrets. And, you know, when you give a destroyer 8-inch guns, you give it the Des Moines AP, really funny things happen, like it bullying cruisers. Because keep in mind, think of all the times you've seen a Des Moines absolutely obliterate some poor cruiser that went broadside. Now imagine a destroyer doing that, albeit with only, you know, one Des Moines turret worth of guns, but that's still a lot of damage that a destroyer can put down in that amount of time, right? And it's citadel damage too. So it's just so dumb watching it happen. It's also really good for fighting destroyers because you do get the HE as well, and you know it's 8-inch HE, so the alpha damage is pretty stout. On top of that, you do also get a heal with the Hull as well. So just beautiful things happen with the Hull in random battles, especially if you're good at, you know, ambushing destroyers that are unaware of your presence. Like you come around the corner, surprise, destroyer with cruiser guns here, hello, and you know, remove most of their HP. Or obviously if you can walk up on a broadside cruiser, especially like a broadside light cruiser, oh my god, you are going to tear them a new one, probably before they can even rotate their guns on you and start getting rounds on you. But even if they do, you got the hill to kind of shrug some of that off. So it's a ridiculous ship. And yet again, like with the St. Vincent, you know, in the Unbreakable line or asymmetric battles, you can take it in now and be really bold, because in the Unbreakable line you get to respawn. In asymmetric battles, who cares? It's asymmetric battles. You can go in and be goofy. You can just walk up to other ships and you'd be surprised. You can citadel a fair few amount of battleships with these guns too from a close enough range, which is really dumb doing that in a destroyer to a battleship. But you know what? It's goofy. It's fun. It's a blast. And again, a ship I highly recommend you guys pick up just for the dumbness of it too, because it does look ridiculous, you know, having these 3 massive turrets on a destroyer. I don't know how the ship wasn't so top heavy it didn't flip over, but again, apparently it worked and was surprisingly stable according to the Navy. Alright, going on down to number 3 is the only ship on this list that's not currently available at the moment, but I'm sure most of you guys are looking to pick her back up when she does re-enter the game. And that is the one, the only, the Tier 9 Pan-American battleship, the Valparaiso. Yeah, this thing is just stupid, broken, cracked. It is probably one of the, if not the most ridiculous ship Wargaming's ever introduced into the game. And that is saying a lot. So the Valparaiso just shows the lengths at which Wargaming will go to not buff the Vanguard. So the Valparaiso is a what if the British sold the Vanguard to Chile. And then the Chileans, I don't know, gave it a bunch of cocaine or something and made it insanely better. So with the Valparaiso, you get a Vanguard with secondaries that can reach out to, 11, 12 kilometers, whatever, who cares? You're going to be way closer than that playing the Valparaiso anyway. And with these secondary guns, you get a funny F button, where once you get a certain amount of secondary hit, it's like 13 before you pop Joaquim's skill, 8 after you pop Joaquim's skill or something like that, you can slap your F button and get a massive buff to the cooldown of your consumables, which are only 2. Your damage con and your super heal. Your super heal that works in well under half the time that most other tier 9 and tier 10 battleships heals work. So you get a ridiculous amount of HP back in just a few seconds, and then with your secondary guns going, again, you only need like 13 or 8 hits, you can pop it again and again and again and simply choose to not die. Unless you get a wall of Shimakaze torpedoes or something like a Montana, a Vermont, or a Thunder, or a Yami, blap your broadside and find your citadel with most of their shells. So it's a ship that simply refuses to die as long as your secondaries are going and hitting things. You get 7 of these super heals, by the way, 8 if you have the commander skill that gives you an additional heal after getting 2 million potential damage, which is really not hard to do when you're just walking toward the enemy team like you can in the Valparaiso. So, yeah, ship's pretty dumb. Now, you don't get HE on the main battery guns, you only get AP, and they are 15-inch guns at Tier 8, with less Sigma than that of the Vanguard. I'm sorry, at Tier 9, with less Sigma than that of the Vanguard. So, main guns aren't great. However, when you simply don't die, and you're just walking toward whoever it is that you wish to rip apart, yeah, you do tend to kill things quite easily so in the Valparaiso. Obviously, this is hilarious to do in random battles, let alone in asymmetrics when you're walking towards, well, you know, a whole team of bots that you know you will simply not die fighting because you can choose not to, let alone in the Unbreakable line, which it's pretty dumb, the Unbreakable line too, because while everyone's respawning and stuff, you're there still alive, not perishing because, well, again, you can pick and choose when you want to die in the Valparaiso, so that's pretty dumb. Perilous Route, I played it a lot in Perilous Route. It was really fun in that mode because, again, you know, beating the crap out of bots is always a good time, right? So, yeah, this ship is crazy at anything. Tier 9 ranked, I mean, again, it's a ship that can simply choose to not die. Now, yes, you can counter it by simply not getting to within its secondary range, but if it goes and sits in the middle of the cap, then, well, you've got some decisions to make about that, don't you? So it's a really dumb ship, a really fun ship. Unfortunately, again, it's not available for the moment. We'll see with the ship rotation mechanic coming in 14.6. Allegedly, you know, a lot of the ships that we've seen release over the past few months will be returning one way or another in this with this new mechanic going into play. So I guess we'll see what happens with it then. But yeah, if you ever can buy it outright and don't have to gamble away your life savings to get it, definitely a ship most of you are probably well interested in picking up. Alrighty, going on our way down now to number 2, which is the Tier 9 American cruiser, the Cambridge. Yes, this thing, it's something alright. The Cambridge is basically a Rochester with a bunch of Alaska guns bolted to it. Now you may notice these are not the Alaska turrets, they're not. They are the turrets from the Congress. You know, the dual turrets you get on the Congress, you get 3 of those on what is again basically a Rochester hull. And not only are they the guns from the Alaska, but you also get the Alaska's excellent AP. So that means despite these being 305mm guns, they actually hit quite hard. Well, 305mm guns on a cruiser are quite large. That's my battleship player brain kicking in there. But if you guys have played the Alaska or have ever been shot by the Alaska, you know how hard these guns do hit. So obviously when you roll up next to another cruiser and blap them in their citadel, you'll probably be removing, you know, over half of their HP if most of your shells go where they're supposed to, which is another upside of the Cambridge. She gets cruiser dispersion on Alaska's guns. So the shells are more than likely going where you are aiming, almost to a point at times where it's a fault. Like, you know, a lot of times in this game you kind of aim in a generic area when you're playing like battleships or such because you know the dispersion isn't that great. But unlike that with the Cambridge here, you can kind of almost pick exactly where you want the shells to go. Every now and then RNG does get involved, but from my experience, more often than not, the shells are going to go where, well, you want them to go. So, because of that, really good at blapping broadside cruisers, even broadside battleships too, that aren't paying attention, and obviously from closer range, it's that much more better, if you will, at deleting things. So obviously there's a lot of fun to be had here with the Cambridge. She's very much an ambush cruiser. You try to sneak around a corner or something and catch another cruiser off guard, blap them, and then back up away into the night, or hop island to island, taking opportunistic shots in between your island cover. Now she does also get a heal, which is very much needed, as well it's an American heavy cruiser with a very much exposed citadel, so you can most certainly give out a lot of punishment, but you can't take too much in return because, again, you are an American cruiser. So she's very much a glass cannon, and it's really satisfying when you pull off a successful ambush in the Cambridge. But, like I said, with all the other ships, and what is main theme of this video, not only is this ship pretty fun and good in randoms when you have the right situation, but when modes like asymmetrics or unbreakable line are running, you can very much have a ton of fun there, because again, who cares? Go ham, do goofy things, do dumb things, get in the middle of the fight, and have some good fun there. Very good there when you can just kind of self somebody and try to blap them in the Citadel, and then not really matter because it's not random battles, right? Again, who cares if it's the Unbreakable line or asymmetric battles? Go in there, have some fun, do goofy things with your goofy ship. Speaking of goofy ships, we now find ourselves at the number 1 slot, which is occupied by the one, the only, the Italian destroyer, the Barbiano. Now, the Barbiano currently is the ship that gives the Valparaiso a run for its money, in my opinion, in terms of just absolutely insane ships Wargaming has released over the past couple of months. The Barbiano is, well, I'm sure many of you have run across many a Barbiano. She has an unbelievable amount of those Italian 90mm guns bolted to her deck, and they do fire sap shells, which mean they pin way more than the standard HE shells those 90mm guns fire, which I believe they struggle to pin 19 millimeters of armor, or 16 millimeters of armor, if that. The HE can't pin anything out of those guns. But sap, on the other hand, oh yeah, it can pin a lot more. What's even funnier is that the F button on the Barbiano increases the pin damage of the 90mm sap guns, if you want to get it up and over, a little bit more penetration there. But many players just leave that off, because the sheer volume of fire that you get by using the standard shells, not taking the debuff for the trade-off in increased penetration, you have a stupid fire rate with the Barbiano. And of course, if you have a Sansonetti and Adrenaline Rush going, then yeah, you've got just a hose of damage here with the Barbiano. So you can chew battleships out through their superstructure, obliterate, just melt enemy destroyers that you come across. You get the Italian exhaust mode, you get a speed boost, but granted, that is it though. You have a stupid amount of DPM coming from your guns, but no torpedoes, no heal, and this is a cruiser literally shoved into a destroyer slot. So it is a huge ship. You get a ton of HP too as well, but it's a huge target. Without the engine boost, it's quite sluggish and quite easy to hit. But again, it can most certainly swing back. So obviously, you can melt down battleships, melt down cruisers, melt down destroyers, melt down pretty much whatever it is that you're going to come across in the Barbiano. And once again, playing this in asymmetrics or the Unbreakable line, you can put aside your fear of perishing and losing a round of random battles, and just do stupid and fun things with the ship. Take those risks, go after those targets, try to melt down that battleship before it blaps you out of existence from close range. It's a good amount of fun, and again, something I would highly recommend if you want some goofy, insane ship. So that's my 2 cents on the Barbiano. We've talked about her not that long ago, so I won't waste any more time yapping about her in this video. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, what are your guys' top 5 goofy and fun ships right now that you're taking into asymmetrics and Unbreakable line, just having a ball with them there. Again, let me know if you agree with my list, disagree, what ships do you believe should be on this list, what ships do you believe shouldn't be on this list. Let me know all that good stuff in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, oh no, rest of your week, because this comes out on Monday. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the live streams last week. I had an insanely busy week. We should be back to a more normal schedule this week, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, guys, hope you guys have a great Monday, great rest of your week, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one.